And I'm live, even though I wanted a few minutes, and I told YouTube to give me a few minutes. But
they're trolling you.
Yeah, YouTube show. Last night it just ended just like that. Okay, YouTube cares a lot about the first 30 seconds, so I'm going to stop dealing with you people and say, hello, it's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. And today, can women be Nazarites? Yes, yes they can. It's right there. Do they want to be Nazarites? Actually, no. Most of the Nazarites I've met online and offline, Jews or others who have taken on the vow, are men. But there are one or two Nazarites that I've met, one digitally, one here in Jerusalem that I know of but have not yet met. She's in Gilo. One of a part of a Nazarite duo, a couple. Hey, Real Jack Matt is here. How was your fast? How was your fast yesterday? God willing, we will never need to fast ever again. Not a fast of mourning. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. Maybe, yes. Okay, so I have audio, I have video. Hello, how are you doing? Yes, you don't have to fast.
Yet.
No, maybe he won't have to fast ever.
Yet.
Maybe it will be feasts and celebrations and jubilations and dancing and...
Yet.
Yeah, we'll see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro.
Sorry for interrupting.
Okay, so this is. Oh wait, you know what? I need to put a. I need to put the word rapid fire. Rapid fire Q&A. That's what we're up with right now. A rough last 5 hours headache. Yeah, that happens. And any thoughts on Rabbi Mizrahi? See, I don't know enough. People are asking me constantly about Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi. Look, he is obviously an Orthodox rabbi, meaning in matters of Orthodox halacha, depending on the tradition that he holds to, he would be your go-to guy. Now, some Orthodox rabbis specialize in certain types of halacha, right? Certain rabbis become dayanim, rulers, right? Actual adjudicators in rabbinic courts. It's not the proper Sanhedrin of old, but it's a makeshift sort of rabbinic court. That's what it's called. He says, yes, a very good source. So I don't know if he is a good source or not. I would say a good source on what? And generally speaking, if he is an Orthodox rabbi, and I'm assuming that he is, that's what he looks like, that's how he presents himself, then yes, on matters of halacha, he would give you the Orthodox halacha. But opinions of halacha do vary according to Ashkenazi, Sfaradi, Taimani, and so on, depending on your tradition, on your exilic tradition. Real Jack Matt says he is a very good source. I've heard mixed reviews on Rabbi Mizrahi, on whether or not, he's good, he's not good, he's full of himself, he's not full of himself. I've heard different things. I have no dog in this race or in this fight. So I do not know. I know that somebody sent a debate recently, that an hour-long debate between a black Hebrew Israelite, a Christian, and a Jew, right? And the Jew there was Rabbi Mizrahi, and he said, you got to listen to this, it's really funny, react to it. He's a Sephardic rabbi, okay. Warlex already asked this question. I have no thoughts on Kamala Harris going to Disneyland. I have no idea. You also asked this last time, or a couple of weeks ago. Yes, he says, thoughts on Kamala Harris, I'm assuming it's Harris, right? Using taxpayer dollars to go to Disneyland this weekend. And will you be attending her rallies next month? He asked this a couple of weeks ago, I think. So hello, Warlex. I answered already. I don't know Kamala. I don't know her politics. I don't know her policies. And I'm not in the U.S., so the chances of me arriving at Disneyland, California, Disneyland, right? Yeah, California, are not great. Are you going to send me a ticket? Are you saying you want me... Send a few? No, just me. No. I'll leave my wife and kids and I'll just run right there.
Yeah, no, abandon us.
You have good memory. Yeah, hey, you know what? You don't just forget a question like that. Because I've been to Disney World twice and I enjoyed it. And I would like to go to Disneyland sometime.
Disney World is...
Why does Hebrew sound like you're clearing your throat? Asks Keith Donnell. Yeah, like a yogurt and Spaceballs. You can read it. No, I'm just clearing my throat. Because of the het and the ayin, or chet and ayin, or chet and ayin without the then it sounds like you're clearing your throat. There's a lot of ch, a lot of a lot of g, a lot of t, and together, it sounds like you're clearing your throat. Well, it really does. He's got a point, right? So that's why it sounds like you're clearing your throat. In the very same way that when you speak other languages, it sounds like you're, walking down an alley, whistling to yourself, or unclogging a toilet. Same thing. So a Sephardic rabbi. So if he's a Sephardic rabbi, he would give you the Sephardic halacha, and that's the way that it goes. A message was held for review. Interestingly, I can see it on my phone, but I don't see it here on the laptop, which means that YouTube is censoring things and not showing it to me here, but it is showing it to me on my phone. And just for the heck of it, let's click this, let's tap it and see what the message was. Let's show that. And I wonder if it'll show up. Yes, I know a meth smoker when I see one. Geiger 1K. Well, I've never smoked meth. I'm not a smoker, nor a smoker of meth. Never have I touched meth. I'm of the opinion, from what I've heard, right? Meth, not even once. As Louis C.K. said, drugs are so good that they will ruin your life. So don't do it. I like watching this guy. He's funny sarcasm. And it's you. Really? I'm a meth smoker? I don't think so. I think you need some grooming, says Korea Land Co. Okay, where do you think I need some grooming? Because I let the hair and the beard grow wild. Other parts of me I groom. So, yeah. You need to meet, that's right, other parts. You need to meet Rabbi Tovia Singer. I'd like to actually meet the guy. I've listened to a few things he's said, and he sounds like a stand-up guy, but I have no idea. So if he's here, definitely. No, I will not. You've got me very bricked up right now, brother. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate the fine compliment. What is it? All ears and nose. Yes, that is correct, Diego Gomez shoots. What do you shoot?
Your nose.
Oh, you shoot my nose. Good one. Karen says, hey everyone, this is an LGBTQ stream. Please be kind and respectful. Yes, that is correct, Karen. I am straight, I am gay, I'm lesbian, I'm bisexual, I'm a two-spirit pigeon, and I identify as a green sippy cup. And my, what are my pronouns today? Sleep and now. Pretty much. No cap, twin, I'm hella bricked, for real. Good for you, man. Stay bricked. You don't need those testosterone shots. You don't need Viagra. You've got it going on. Any... No. Apparently being bricked is being hard as a brick.
Oh.
Creating a brick, that's taking a crap.
No.
You can take all the hair behind like a solid bald pony and trim some beard. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I like it growing wild and free. I feel like you look like an actor, but I don't remember what one, Cackling Jackal said. An actor. What actor do I look like?
Pimento.
I look like Pimento? From 9-9? I don't know. I don't know his name. The dude who plays Detective Pimento, my wife says on 9-9. Hey, teacher. No, I'm not a teacher. I'm a student and a learner. What was that?
A bearded Aladdin.
A bearded weirdo. Pretty much, yeah. A bearded Aladdin. What's wrong with your hair and beard, says Elam. Not much. What's wrong with yours? Wild and free is my life, brother. Amen, Joseph. Or Yosef. Amen. What do you think about Shabbatai Tzvi? That he was a fine sage until he went astray, and he did things that were wrong, and he eventually converted under pain of death to Islam. So a lot of people, he screwed up a lot of the Jewish world at the time. That's what I think of him. You are the most Jewish person I've ever seen. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Joe Burt's world. Are you a settler? No, Yazi, I'm not a settler, though I wouldn't mind being a legal settler. I am not a settler. You look like a penny pincher, says Biggest Jeffrey. Well, finally, it's good to meet the Biggest Jeffrey. I've met a few Jeffreys in my life, and you're the biggest one, evidently. So good. Am I a penny pincher? No, I'm pretty... I mean, there are times when I pinch, and there are times when I just let it go like diarrhea. I can't stand my beard too itchy, yo dude says. Well, this is my original growth. I've never shaved. So that's simply the way that it's grown. If I were to shave repeatedly and then grow it, maybe it would have been itchy, but it doesn't itch me ever. It only itches me occasionally if I sweat a lot, and before I shower, then maybe there's a bit of an itchiness, but no. Are they dreadlocks, sound of mine? Yes, they are. Freeform, organic, Nazarite dreadlocks. Here for your viewing pleasure. Okay. I'm going to pinch a loaf. Good for you, David. May it be a healthy crap. Best wishes to you and your fa, says Mike. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Rasta Jew. Yes, I'm not a Rasta, but I am a Jew. Shower, says Raymond. Yes, I do shower on a regular basis. I know it's difficult to believe. Do you like Austrian painters? Well, I'm not versed enough in fine art to know whether or not I like Austrian painters. So no. You are hilarious, brother, says Rob Williams. Thanks, I appreciate that. I have my moments. I love Jewish people. I'm so happy to be Jewish, as am I, Big Fig Pig. Big Fig Pig, that's a good one. What's your thoughts on Ariel Sharon giving Gaza? I'm curious of your opinion. Well, I was against the disengagement from Gaza. But once it was found that it was going to go forward, I was like, okay, a one last Hail Mary, let's say, attempt to give them what they want and see what they do with it. But I thought it was the wrong thing to do. Are you a Christian? No, I'm not, Burrito Boy. I'm very much a Hebrew man. Hey, brother, says Derek, just wanted to share something cool. I've actually been getting into Kabbalah lately. I started reading up a bit ago, and it's been super interesting. What Kabbalistic teachings are you into? What have you been studying? With Kabbalah, I always say kosher Kabbalah with a kosher master. Those are the prerequisites as far as I'm concerned. Bye-bye, Gaza, and welcome to our new advanced technology country. I mean, I don't think Gaza should go bye-bye. I think that Hamas should go bye-bye, and all the other terrorist regimes should go bye-bye. Do you support Trump or no? I'm not American. I don't vote. I have a passport, but I do not vote. I'm an American living abroad. I've never lived in the States, so I have no say in its politics. So I don't support or not support Trump. That's it. I support the idea of him not being a politician, but being a businessman who went into being a public servant, right? Do you play video games? No, I don't, Bathory. I do not. Shalom, Terry. Shalom, do you, brother? I do, brother. I have several brothers. Who let you hit, bro? What do you mean, MDS? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you shower? Yes, I do, regularly. Why do you look like you just left the Holocaust? I don't know that I do look like that, but if you say so. Why don't you Jews accept Jesus? Because he is a dead man, and we do not follow the dead. That's it. He died. And even if you say that he was resurrected, that's okay. He can still be your God. He can be your Messiah. But he is not the Messiah or God or Son of God as a Lord and Savior in any way, shape, or form. For the Hebrew people, we have no such tradition. He is just a dead man. No more, no less. A good dead man, a righteous dead man, but a dead man. That's it. How does someone go about converting? Fool Death Tower says, you talk to your local rabbi and you find out. Do you have a lot of Christian friends? No, I have a couple. I don't have my close group of friends that I barely ever see are all Hebrews, though I have been cordial and friendly with people, be they Christian or Muslim, here. But no, I don't have a lot of Christian friends. I don't have a lot of friends to begin with. Shoah, says Poop AIDS. Yes, it's quite a documentary. You look Arab, brother. Yes, I am Semitic. I do look Arab. That is correct. Are you Lebanese? No, I'm in Jerusalem. He is a zombie, basically, to some. Who is a zombie, me or other people? I am definitely a zombie. Never gonna get this, says Cheeseburger047. Never gonna get what? What about Muslim people? What about them, Aziz? They're Muslim. That's all I have to say about Muslims. Hi there, do you believe in the firmament? I believe that there is a physical sky, and I believe that there is a spiritual firmament, an esoteric, metaphysical firmament. But if you mean something that is like a barrier, you could call it the stratosphere, you could call it the halosphere, or whatever those other spheres are. I don't believe precisely in a firmament the way other people do believe, but I do believe that there is such a thing as a sky, and I do believe we have an atmosphere and a stratosphere and all of those. Do you wear a black cube on your forehead? No, I do not wear tefillin. I am a Nazarite. The Nazarite does not wear tefillin, or conversely, there are Nazarites who wear it all day. And some who do only wear it, I think, wear it all day or don't wear it at all. Some, occasionally, you'll find do wear it only in the morning, like some people do now. For a long time, for many years, even like 7 years into my vow, I did wear tefillin, and then I was called to stop wearing tefillin. Does your government pay you to practice your religion? No, Duval, it does not. Why on earth would it do that? Do you believe Jews are chosen people? No, Javed Ahmed. I believe humanity is chosen. Thank you, my son. Yes, I believe humanity is chosen, and Jews are not chosen over anybody else. What are you doing here exactly? I'm here to have conversations with people, Aziz, on faith, spirituality, religion, psychology, self-development, philosophy, underarm farts, underleg farts, and anything you bring my way. It's a rapid-fire Q&A, live from Jerusalem, unscripted and unfiltered and raw, for your amusement and entertainment pleasure. Hey, buddy, could you top me off? Thanks.
What?
Yep. Okay. Do you believe God is all-powerful? Yeah, I believe God has an attribute that is called all-powerful. I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me, and one of those revelations is called all-powerful, corresponding to Gvura, to the left hand, the left pillar. That is all-powerful. Let's see. Why is Tel Aviv gay? Because Tel Aviv is a very liberal city and it's one of the gay capitals of the world. That is why. Are you vegan or raw food? Oh, I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 16 years. Before that, I was vegetarian. At some point, I think I will go raw vegan if I can actually sustain it and actually remain healthy. So I don't know when that will come because that means going from being vegetarian to vegan was not much of a jump for me. I was able to do it, and I take B12 supplements regularly. I get my blood tested at least once a year to see that everything is on the up and up, and that I'm not deficient in anything. Were I to go to raw veganism, which is one of my goals, it'll have to be way in the future when I'll be able to actually sustain a proper raw vegan diet, because if I go raw vegan now, it would not be sustainable. I know this about myself. Are potatoes vegan? If so, why? They are vegan because they come from the earth. They are literally a root vegetable, hence they are vegan. Beeschurger, says the Tom TMB zombie. Yes, Beeschurger, exactly. He knows what's up. Have you ever experienced paranormal activity? What do you mean by paranormal activity, Michael? You'll have to actually be more precise. Just supplement, stay healthy. Right, exactly, Cheeseburger. Supplement and stay healthy if you need to. What do you think about Ethiopian Jews? I think they are awesome and that they are from Ethiopia and part of the kingdom of Judah. Let's continue. Thoughts on tattoos? 20 Nick says, they go against the Torah, but I don't mind if people have them. That's it. I do not have any tattoos. If I were to have a tattoo, I would tattoo the Kabbalistic tree of life on me somewhere. Do you approve of what your government does? No, I'm against the government. I will be voting them out, God willing. After not voting for 20 years, I will be voting in the next election, likely, in order to kick them out and have some new administration, new blood, new leadership come and do something. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Hey bro, hey bro, you know when you twist your hair like that and make dreads? I did not twist. There has never been a single twist. These are organic, free-form Nazarite dreads. They're not, right? They're like neglect dreads. They're not any kind. I didn't twist. I didn't rub. I didn't make any crochet, anything. These are 100% natural, free, organic dreads. You disconnect the connection from your, loosen your chakras, brother. Well, JC Flores, you obviously don't know anything about free-form dreadlocks. If you think that these are twisted dreadlocks, you are mistaken. Do you have energy despite vegan? Yes, I do. I have plenty of energy. Despite being vegan. Nobody supports government. I mean, people do. I don't. I don't support the Israeli government in everything it does. I don't support maybe in most of what it does, and that's why I want to have them, I want to kick them out. Is chakra vegan? Chakra are points of energy. Chakra are points that correspond to the 10 emanations of the tree of life. Or, the 7 chakras correspond to the 7 lower sfirot. Are DNA genealogy tests banned in Israel? No, Dovik. They are regulated, but not illegal. Comb your hair, bro. No, JC Flores. Nazarites are not allowed to use combs or brushes. Nazarites are allowed to use their hands and fingertips, but I usually don't do that either, hence why it locked up. Are you Christian? No, I'm not. No, I'm not Christian. I'm sure someone has already asked, but are Nazarite women hairy everywhere? No, Big Mac Orange. They're hairy to the degree that their genetics would make them hairy. The only thing that the Torah says is if you are a man or a woman and you take on the Nazarite vow, you grow out your hair wild and free. Gadel pera se'ar rosho. The hair on the head should grow wild. But if you're bald, you can still take on a Nazarite vow. If you have no hair, you can still take on a Nazarite vow. What you are not allowed to do is intentionally rip hairs out from the root, intentionally use any apparatuses that are meant to rip hairs out from the root, and you're not allowed to put any drugs or substances on the scalp that would directly cause hair to fall out due to the use of that substance or drug. That is what's not allowed in the laws of the Nazariteship. Can you explain the Jewish concepts of Galut and Geulah, Sammy Jammy? Hey, Sammy Jammy, good to see you. So Galut, literally, there's physical exile and there's spiritual exile. Likewise with redemption, there's a physical redemption and a spiritual redemption. So can I explain the Jewish concepts? It depends on who you ask. It really does depend on who you ask. And if you ask me, we are done with the exile physically. We are still in some exile conceptually and spiritually. And soon enough, there will be redemption in physical and spiritual and conceptual alike. How it will come about, I do not know. But the concept of Galut and Geula is personal to each individual in and of themselves, and to the collective of the Hebrew people, and as creation, right? As a planet Earth, as earthlings, as an entire creation, as a multiverse of multiverses in which we are part of. You're a good guy, says, sorry, wait, who is this? Anaconda? Thanks, man, I appreciate that. Incidentally, he gave a super chat. I'll remind you, 100% of what you give to this channel after YouTube takes its cut goes to charities here in Jerusalem that serve the entire population, East and West Jerusalem alike. Druze, Arab, Christian, Muslim, Baha'i, Rasta, Shinto, Hindu, and anybody else, families and individuals in need. And if you want proof, you can go look in my community tab. I put the receipts there of the donations that I give each and every month that you good people contribute to. Let's continue. Avrum is here. Ibn Ezra. What do you mean? Ibn Ezra, מה זה בדיוק? Ibn Ezra, Rabbi Avraham Ibn Ezra is a commentator on the Torah. He also, I think, made a commentary on Sefer Yetzirah. If I'm not mistaken, the Ibn Ezra. Anyway, Rabbi Avraham Ibn Ezra, right? He was a sage, and he was a philosopher and a commentator on the Torah and on, what else? Was it Sefer Yetzirah? I don't recall right now. Parshan. Again, Parshan. Let's continue, scrolling down. Why are you vegan, says Curtis. Well, when I took on my Samson Nazarite vow, the Samson Nazarite does not abstain from contact with human death, because it's not one of the prohibitions, as opposed to the other 3 forms of Nazariteship. Yet I still wanted to do the other side of that. And so I figured instead of avoiding death, which I still do, I don't go to cemeteries, I don't go to funerals, but I'm allowed to. So I said, instead of doing that, I will sanctify life and I will go vegan. I was vegetarian and I went vegan, and I see that as not an inherent part of the vow, but something which the vow led me to. And it goes together because the Nazariteship is about sanctifying life, and veganism is about sanctifying life and showing kindness to the earth and the earthlings. That is why I'm vegan. I also think that the Nazarite vow has a lot to do with the Edenic way of life and the Edenic mindset. And in Eden, we were all vegan. All of creation was vegan. Do you also believe there are only 2 genders, the Pokemon trainer says? No, it depends who you ask. Halachically speaking, there are several genders, right? There's male, there's female, there's transgender in the sense of, there's not transgender, like hermaphrodite, right? There's what's called a androgynous, right? Androgynous. There's a tumtum and an elonit, and maybe one more. There's like 6 of them halachically speaking. The 2 other ones, right? The tumtum is somebody whose genitalia is covered and you're unsure what's what. And an elonit is a female who does not show characteristics during female puberty. And halachically speaking, there are different laws that pertain to these different genders. But people who differentiate gender and sex insofar as sex being biological and gender being expressive and performative and outwardly, that's a whole other story. But basically, we are dimorphic, right? Those are the outliers, right? The androgynous people are the outliers. The tumtum is the outlier. The Ailonit are the outlier, right? We have male and female. We have XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes. That's biology. As for how you choose to express your sexuality in the world, that's a whole other story. Then you can do whatever the hell you want, and you can choose to be whatever of the 100 plus genders there is on that list. That's simply how you choose to express yourself. Do not expect society to adhere to what you deem needs to be done. That's your business. Not everybody will be on board. But basically, we are dimorphic mammals, male and female. You seem cool, Unc, says Talisi. Thanks, I appreciate that. You seem cool, too. Samsung said, hi, hello. Do you wait of Messiah, and who is he? So no, I'm not waiting on Messiah. If a king is crowned, there are always contenders for the throne walking among us here in Israel and in the diaspora. If the king should be revealed and accepted by the people and crowned and given the throne, then great. But I'm not of the opinion that we need to wait for any Messiah. We need to be good people, adhere to the Torah, fulfill the commandments, cleave to the covenant, and redeem ourselves through carrying out the Torah. I'm not waiting on a Messiah. I'm not waiting on some anointed one. I'm not waiting on a king of Israel. If they show up, all the better. As for who is he, it will be revealed in the proper time if we merit it. And it will happen immediately now if we merit it. Are you Zionist? Yes, I am, Bamial. I'm a biblical Zionist and a modern-day Zionist, but I don't excuse what anybody or everybody does in the name of Zionism. As I've said many times, you can't just do whatever you want and slap a label of Zionism on it and then make it kosher, ethical, moral, or, accepted. That's not how I roll. Go have a shower. Yes, I will before Shabbos. I do shower regularly, Zach, but thank you. If I showered right now while going live, my channel would be banned and removed, and I don't want that. Can you explain what is Metzitza B'Peh and why they do it even though it's dangerous and morally wrong? So you can make an argument that all circumcision is wrong. There are three parts to circumcision: milah, pri'ah, metzitza. Milah and pri'ah, cutting off the foreskin and spreading the skin, that is two things that make circumcision of the covenant of Abraham kosher. Metzitza B'Peh was done for medicinal reasons and has since been debunked as a medicinal, of having any medicinal quality insofar as the wound recovering faster, better, and being more beneficial, right, to the newborn. Now, there is the physical element of Metzitza B'Peh, which has been debunked medicinally, let's say, and there is the esoteric and spiritual element of Metzitza B'Peh, which has not been debunked, since it is not something you can debunk. It's not a physical thing, it's something that the physical facilitates, but it has a spiritual root. In other words, I'm of the opinion that because there is indeed a danger, it should either be done with a single-use straw-like glass tube, straw apparatus, not with the mouth, because, bacteria, diseases, you don't want to mess with that. So with my kids, the moil, right, the carrier out, the performer of circumcision, did it with a single-use straw-like surgical apparatus. That's how I wanted it to be done, right? You suck out some of the blood, you spit it out. That's it. If Metzitza B'Peh were to be abolished, all circumcisions that do milah and pri'ah would be kosher, 100% kosher. And so if it ever becomes too much of a thing, if it ever becomes something that is wrong in the sense of that it becomes an actual danger even with a glass tube, then I would say that's where I would draw the line and say, nope, shove it out. You don't need it for a proper kosher circumcision. All you need is the first two. Yes. Sorry, but you're a Judaizer, a Judaizer. Please get a clue. I don't know what you mean. Orthodoxy is cool. Orthodoxy is cool. I don't know what that means. What is a Judaizer? Somebody tell me. I'm ignorant. Let's see. Discuss the Kabbalah. What about the Kabbalah, Chrysalis? Kosher Kabbalah with a kosher master. Those have always been my prerequisites to anybody who asks. Kosher Kabbalah with a kosher master. Would you say your understanding of the Torah is unorthodox? No, I would think it's very orthodox. I grew up modern Orthodox here in Jerusalem. I'm not against orthodoxy. I simply no longer consider myself religious or orthodox, but it is my root. It is my home. I still think it's a wonderful and blessed and noble path. But I now pick and choose. I am a cherry picker. I don't rule out going back to keeping strict rabbinic law in the future. I feel very comfortable, in an Orthodox shul or whatnot. Okay. I'm a follower of Christ, highly interested in the Nazarene vow. There is no Nazarene vow. Nazarene means of Nazareth, and Nazarene means the first followers of Jesus who were Jewish, and nowadays Nazarene is an evangelical church. This is a Nazarite ship, not a Nazarene. Know the difference. So it's not Nazarene vow, it's a Nazarite vow. Who takes it and who takes these vows? Anybody of the Hebrew tribes, a man or a woman who are of age can take it, or if they are not of age, it can be taken for them by somebody who is of age. Then when they become of age, they can choose to fulfill it and complete it, or carry it on for life. Why don't you wear a hat that fits your big head? Because the Nazarite ship has a crown of separation. The hair is the crown of the Nazarite, and that is why I do not wear a kippah, skull cap, head covering on my head. The kippah is halacha from rabbis, divrei sofrim, the Rabbanan, and the hair of the Nazarite is the Oraita from the Torah, and so the hair of the Nazarite takes precedence over the small yarmulke or large yarmulke. Do you have any cool pocket knives? Yes, I have a Leatherman. I carry a Leatherman. That's my daily carry. Let's continue. Please accept Christ your Messiah or else. No, I don't think I will. I think he is a dead man. He may have been a potential sage, and prophet and king, but he died, so that's it. His reign ends there. He's a dead man, a righteous dead man, but a dead man, no more, no less. Can Nazarites shave? Yes, Nazarites are allowed to shave, not their hair of the head, but they can shave their hair of the face. Like all Jews, like all Hebrews, they are not allowed to rip the corners of the hair and the beard out from the roots. So people use shavers, but I wanted to grow a beard ever since I was a young man, and so I never shaved. This is my original growth. I never shaved it. You're the first vegan actually like because you're not crazy about killing animals. No, I'm all for killing animals if you grow them, if you hunt them, if you look them in the eye as you take their life, if you give them the respect that they deserve, and not just go to the supermarket and not just go to the butcher shop. If you're actually growing your own food, let's say, I'm totally on board with that. What I don't like is the factory farming. What I don't like is the idea that the connection between earthlings has been severed. The connection has been severed, and I don't like that at all. I really don't. Did you see the movie Pi? No, I haven't, Gordo. Good to see you again, Gordo, baby man. I have not, unfortunately. W ethical killing. Exactly, Tolosi. W ethical killing. Hebrew was extinct in 500 AD. That is false, Curtis Hurd. Like, completely false. All historians disagree with you, generally speaking. That's completely wrong. How can you happily say you are a Zionist, Stuart Stunner says? Because I am a happy Zionist. I simply don't go along with everything that what people might consider Zionist. I also see a difference between modern-day Zionism and biblical Zionism. I see a difference between the different aims that people have. It's not a question of happy or unhappy. Zionism is part of being a Hebrew man. Whether you go with the modern-day Zionism or not, that's beside the point. The biblical Zionism is true to Hebrews across the board. Another super chat came in. Hang on a second. Let's see. Another super chat came in. Shalom, friend. Do you like hummus dip? Yes, I do. I'm a fan of hummus. It's my favorite food. Terminal? Yes. It's my favorite food. It's what I love more than anything in the world as far as foods are concerned. Peugeot says, you are kind and a good man. I have my moments, but sometimes I'm not good and sometimes I'm unkind. God with you and with you and with you all. Blessings to you all from Jerusalem. I'm black and Jew. Yes, Atom Holocaust. And there are many Jewish people with black skin, brown skin, pink skin, yellow skin, white skin, beige skin. There you go. Can you eat halal meat or does it have to be kosher? Well, I don't eat meat, but when I did, yes, it had to be kosher. Halal is kosher for Muslims, but not for Hebrews. We have a few crucial differences that make things halal and not kosher, but all things kosher, in my understanding, are halal, but not the other way around. Wow, Jerusalem, yes indeed. El Quds, Ilya Capitolina, Urushalim, Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, Zion, here I am. Give back land, you are Zionist, you are evil. I don't think so, Danielle, because we don't have any land to give back. You don't give back your own ancestral home. Also, we have given back Gaza, we have given back southern Lebanon, we have given back Sinai. We offered the Palestinians the West Bank of the Jordan, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, and they said no. So what is it exactly you're expecting Israel to do? I do not know, but you are clearly ignorant about everything that goes on here. So maybe do some research, read a history book, educate yourself a little bit more before you say anything about giving back land, because you're talking nonsense. Okay. Do you have to be born Jew or not? No, there is such a thing as conversion Sarak. Dusanarak. So yes. With what are you different than a regular religious Jew? That a regular religious Jew would probably more be adhering to halacha and more strict rabbinic law. I do not consider myself religious. Many others would consider me religious. I simply choose to take myself out of that equation because I don't want to misrepresent rabbinic Judaism. I don't want to misrepresent orthodoxy or modern orthodoxy. I do not want to be hypocritical in any way. I have no rabbi that I go to and consult with on a regular basis, and I pick and choose, right? I'm a man of cafeteria faith. I pick and choose everything, and I make no apology. I do make a sincere attempt and a real effort to pick the righteous cherries, the good cherries, the graceful and benevolent cherries, but that is why I don't consider myself religious. You hate Jesus, sick Zionist. No, I don't hate Jesus. I think he was a good man. I think if I was around at the time, I would have been happy to walk, and follow him around Jerusalem and call him master. So you're full of shit. As for being a sick Zionist, right now I am peak health, so I'm not sick, though I am quite a sick puppy in other ways. And being a Zionist, yes, I am a Zionist, but once again, I try to be an ethical and a moral Zionist. I don't simply blindly go 100% with the Israeli government narrative of what Zionism is. Because I know that there's more to it than meets the eye. And I know that there are other narratives at play here that do have some modicum of truth to them, which is why I try to form a synthesis, and my views are malleable. I'm flexible. And if you prove me wrong, if you challenge me, if you fact check me, and you present a good, coherent argument, you give me actual stats and data that are corroborated, I will say, you're right, I was wrong, thank you for educating me. But to just scream these slogans, it just shows your ignorance and your lack of any kind of argument, of any real substance. So spare us your terrorist sympathizing bullshit. Slow the chat, says Adil. Yeah, sorry, I don't slow the chat. It's a free-range chat. Say what you will, the spammers, the Nazis, the haters, the trolls, the lovers, and the ones who are with good comments, the ones who are with not the best comments, the ones who are asking questions, the ones who are just, saying whatever. It's a free-range chat. There are no mods, no bans, no timeouts, no filtering, no censorship, other than the minimal YouTube censorship that they employ of their own accord. How are Haredim and Orthodox different? I mean, the halacha they follow is a bit different, right? A dati le'umi, a national religious dude, will have his or her rabbis. A Haredi person will have their rabbis. But I've had the privilege and the honor of working my day job alongside Haredi people, serving in the army alongside Haredi people. The fundamental difference, there is no fundamental difference. I don't think that there is. Will you do a live stream from the West Bank confronting the home-stealing Jewish terrorists? Your camera could stop a theft as a Jew. No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to end up dead, not by the hands of settlers who are violent, nor by the hands of Palestinians who are violent. So I wouldn't want to put myself in that position, so no paid memberships. I'm not about to do a live stream from the West Bank, at least not to confront home-stealing Jewish terrorists, though I do not deny there is such a thing as a home-stealing Jewish terrorist. I believe these people are violent, psychopathic individuals, and they belong in prison if they are violently stealing homes of others illegally and with no provocation, no justification other than this land is ours. No, it needs to be legal. And I'm not a fan of people who make illegal settlements and then pass the laws to make it legal. I don't think that's fully kosher either. On the other hand, it does have a strategic and tactical advantage, a security advantage, and on yet another hand, I'm not there behind closed doors, and I don't know what goes on in the different buildings and in the alleys of the Knesset, and I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just a lowly dumbass here in the Middle East with a phone and a cup of water. Thanks for filling it up, son. Oh, that hits the spot. Let's continue. Scrolling down in the chat with you good people, live from Jerusalem. What do you think about the widespread acceptance of abortion? I think that LVNX, it really does depend on the time frame from when you view the creation of life. Halachically, it's one thing. Medically, it might be another thing, right? Scientifically. So what do I think about the widespread acceptance? I think it goes on a case-by-case basis, and so I am loath to make a general observation on something that is so nuanced and with so much of a gray area. So if you give me a scenario and you provide me with the details and the backstory, I'll be able to tell you what I think of it. But basically, what I think about the widespread acceptance of it, that it has its place, but it should be, as they say, legal and rare, right? Now, some people say, what do you mean? If it's legal, it shouldn't be rare. And if it's so rare, maybe it should be illegal. But no, it really does go on a case-by-case basis for me. So when you talk about widespread acceptance, I can't really answer that or address it properly. So I don't really know. Okay. The Kitchen Guru says, meaning, do you believe that the poskim like Rav Kook were correct with their Judaism? Very much so, but I also do think that they were the poskim of their time. I also am of the opinion that halacha is frozen ever since the temple was destroyed, ever since Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was slaughtered by the Romans. Right? We just read Aseret Harugei Malchut yesterday during the fast of the 9th of Av. And he was the last one to lay the hands from Joshua to Moses, to have proper sages. The people who are called rabbis now may be able to rule on halacha and be posek, but they are not proper rabbis in the sense of the rabbis of old that had proper smicha, the laying of the hands. And halacha is very stagnant. Halacha is stuck And that's what it says in Masechet Brachot, right? Eino lakadosh baruch hu ela daled amot shel halacha bilvad. Ever since the destruction of the temple, God has not in his world but 4 cubits of halacha. That is one thing that I do agree with the conservatives and the reform people who said, no, halacha was not meant to stay stagnant and frozen 2,000 years ago. Halacha was made to carry on and advance and evolve, right? And progress, and it's just stuck in so many ways. Halachic rulers nowadays are doing a lot with what they have to work with, considering what they have to work with, but a lot of takanot and gzerot, a lot of chumrot, right? A lot of different regulations, a lot of strictness, a lot of things are things that were made into halacha thousands of years ago, and now we have no way to annul them. And that is a big problem, and that causes huge issues day to day, every day. That causes major issues. The fact that halacha became stuck. Is Rav Kook a proper posek? Definitely, without a doubt. I'm not a halachic scholar, but yes, he was an Orthodox rabbi, and so he is a proper posek on what he knew. Okay. Carrying on. Hi, bro, what are you doing for a living? I'm a writer, Lex XUUS. I'm a writer, I'm a man of words. I'm a copywriter and a screenwriter, a content writer, blogger, editor. That's what I do for a living, and I love it. I love working with words. I am a man of words, and it's, as George Carlin said, they are my work, they're my passion, they're my play, and I love them. Hebrew is from the 1800s. That is false, Curtis. Hebrew as a language has been around for thousands of years. Hebrew as a people have been around for thousands of years. Hebrew as in the land of the Hebrews, the God of the Hebrews, has all been around for many thousands of years. What was brought back in the late 19th and early 20th century is Hebrew as a conversational language of everyday dialogue, right? Lingua franca, the common tongue. That, until then, was more relegated to liturgical use in reading the Torah, reciting the blessings, the prayers, and so on. And others, right? Others over there at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century resuscitated the Hebrew language as a conversational mode of speech. That indeed was done then. But everything else to do with Hebrew has been around for thousands of years. So you're kind of wrong about that. Once again, do some research before you spout off. I don't mind. I love the engagement and I appreciate the participation. But if you're going to say things with such confidence and you're full of shit, then you might want to know what you're talking about before you spout off. Thoughts on Muslims and their way of life, Barry Minto says. I have no thoughts on Muslims because I'm living here in Jerusalem in the Middle East. So I know a very certain facet of Islam, a certain way of life of Islam, which I'm sure is not the all-encompassing way of Islam, nor the Muslims themselves. And so if I were to actually have an opinion right now, it would be one tainted by war, malevolence, terrorism, bloodshed, and murder. And I don't want to do that. And so only after there is peace and love and justice in the region will I turn my attention to Islam and the Quran and the Hadith and the teachings of Muhammad. And until then, I say that I have nothing to say about it. I have nothing to say about it. I'm not a fan of terrorism. You're not even a real Semite, says Ryan. And really, what are you basing that on? Really, actually, what are you basing that on? And also, I don't need to be a real Semite. I never claimed to be a real Semite. Even if I converted this morning. I just popped my head out of the mikveh an hour ago and I became a Jew. I'm 100% a Hebrew, part of the tribes of Israel. So, again, people, you're full of crap. Do some research. Also, don't put words in my mouth. That's just disingenuous and dishonest, and it makes you look like a fool. You live in a terrorist state, says Fred Forrester. No, I live in a state that is carrying out a war of self-defense against those who would indeed annihilate, slaughter, and genocide every single one of us, me, my friends, and family, for the glory of Allah and, for Islam. So you're kind of wrong about that. Israel has given land back for peace. Israel has made peace with Jordan, with Egypt, with Bahrain, and with Morocco and others who will join the Abraham Accords, so that's a lie. Israel has also put on the table over 10 or 12 different peace accords, deals, and agreements to the Palestinian leadership, including ones a few times that offered them the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem as a capital for them to establish a Palestinian state proper. And they said no, they did not accept it. They actually didn't even arrive at the negotiation table, which shows that they don't want a state. They just want Israel not to have a state. They don't want prosperity, quality of life for their people. They just want death and bloodshed and murder, terrorism. They are a death cult. They are a warmongering, bloodthirsty death cult. That is what what they are. That is their way of life. That is what they espouse. Israel, on the other hand, has done above and beyond the call of anything and anybody that ever has done in order to facilitate real, genuine, long-lasting peace. And each time that they reached out their hand, it was shot off by a terrorist. So what do you expect? You expect Israel to take it without retaliating? That's crap. No nation on earth would do that. Let's continue. God loves kindness. I am vegetarian now and thinking about going vegan soon. Love animals. Say no to meat. Look, some people need meat in order for them to actually live a proper life and be healthy. Meat is one of the most awesome proteins that there are. And there's a reason why human beings are omnivores. If you're thinking about the earthlings, then I say buy ethically produced meat, right? Or go hunting and get the meat yourself, right? Or be there, when the life force leaves the animal, right? And be there when it's killed, look it in the eye. Give it the respect it deserves as a fellow earthling. That's what I would say. But say no to meat. I understand those who say yes to meat. And I say this as a vegan because I'm not a militant vegan. I understand those who eat meat. I'm simply against, the factory side of it. I'm against the processed side of it. I'm against the slaughterhouse side of it. Epic Nature says, free Palestine. I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas and the other terrorist organizations. Free them from the Palestinian Authority. Free them from their bloodthirsty terrorist regimes, their religious extremist oppressors who piss all over them and steal their money. Thank you for supporting Israel, Epic Nature Drone Shots. Thank you for supporting the IDF in their just war against terrorism. We need more people like you in this chat who support Israel. Thank you, Epic Drones. That's really great. Why are you Jewish religion, says Adil? Because I grew up religious in Jerusalem, a Jewish, Hebrew man, and in my early to mid-teenage years, I decided to take a look at the religions around me, figure something out, why am I religious? Am I simply religious because I was raised religious? Do I actually want to choose this? Do I want to be an atheist? Do I even believe in a creator? Do I want to follow the Torah? For a few years, I was looking into it, and I read up on Islam and Christianity and Buddhism and Satanism, a couple of others maybe, not deep dives. I was an early to mid-teen after all, but I did do some amount of diving that was sufficient for me to say, okay, I think from the way that I was raised that I want to stay Jewish and I want to stay a religious Jew. That's how I arrived at Judaism again, right? Having been born into it and indoctrinated into the modern Orthodox faith. Avrum gave $10. Hey, that's wonderful. And I'll remind you again, everything that you give goes to charities here in Jerusalem after YouTube takes its cut. 100% of what arrives in my bank account goes to charities here in Jerusalem that serve East and West Jerusalem alike. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, your skin color, your eye color, your gender, your sex. Doesn't matter. They will serve you. They will help you. Right? Things like Meir Panim, Yad Ezra V'Shulamit, Yad Sarah, the Jerusalem Food Rescuers. I've given to a couple of others over the last few months. So thank you to those who contribute. Once again, it is deeply appreciated. I don't take it for granted. And thank you for giving to the people of Jerusalem. Zionism is believing the Jewish people have a right to their own land. Zionism is about the Jewish people, the Hebrew people, the Israeli tribes returning to their ancestral home. If it was simply the right to have a land, then maybe we would have accepted Uganda. Maybe we would have accepted the Soviet Union that was offered. Maybe we would have accepted Kimberley, Australia. Maybe we would have accepted some other place. But no, we wanted to go back to our ancestral home, regardless of God, a covenant promised thousands of years ago. No, modern-day Zionists were all about the history, not the Torah. They were secular, socialist, enlightened folk. They didn't care about Moses or any covenant of promised land. They cared about our ancestral home that remained and remains our ancestral home for over 3,000 years of an unbroken Jewish presence in this land. With numbers differing, of course. Okay. Wow gave 99 cents. Thank you, most appreciated. Let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Let's celebrate that indeed. Woohoo! As for Avrum, it also was their first super on a live stream, and the people of Jerusalem, thank you. The needy of Jerusalem, thank you. And I thank you for busting your cherry here on this chat. Let's continue. Name your bloodline, not two languages. Who are you people? So my family traditionally are a family of Levites, which means that probably not converts, because you cannot convert into being a Levite. So my family has a tradition of thousands of years old, going back to Samuel the prophet, going back to the sons of Kehat. Traditionally speaking, my sages and sires and ancestors of old were the very same folk who carried the Ark of the Covenant itself. Whether it's true or not, I cannot say. But we do have that tradition in our family, from father to son, of being affiliated with the people of Levi, the family of Kehat. That's the way it goes. Another super chat came in. Do you believe in Gilgul Neshamot and reincarnation? Aaron says. Yes, I do. I don't go with the Lurianic Kabbalah, right? I go more with the Kabbalah of the Ramak, so it differs a little bit. But basically, yes, I do believe in such a thing as reincarnation. But again, these are very nuanced Kabbalistic discussions. So, yeah, Maigara says, sending lots of love, much love to you from Jerusalem, to all of you out there, those watching now, those watching later. Your contributions are deeply appreciated, and the organizations I give to are also, I'm sure, in deep appreciation of your hard-earned money going to the needy of Jerusalem. You know there is only one God, don't you? Donavai. Hi, Donavai. I do not know anything about God. I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. So the one indivisible, unknowable, inconceivable, untouchable, unthinkable God that I know nothing about is revealed through the 10 Sfirot, is revealed through the Kabbalistic tree of life. There's a revelation of the 10 emanations, the divine attributes. We mirror these in that image of God in which we as human beings were created, all of us, not Jews. And so there is that correspondence. But as for, do I know there is only one God? I understand that there is such a thing as a creator. I understand that inherently as a creation. And it's not a question of singular, unique, special, one as opposed to one as opposed to two. These are not things that I can actually comprehend. And so I use these physical terms and numerical values like one, singular, indivisible, innumerable, in order to facilitate that understanding of something beyond me. But that still doesn't actually do it justice. And so that is what I think about God in that sense of only one God. Yes, one God, but not one as I understand one. Do DMT, you can meet God. Yes, I have been told to do DMT. I have done psychedelics in my life here and there. I am very much a fan of psychedelics, synthetic and lab-made, right? Synthetic and organic, lab-made or grown. But once again, set and setting, harm reduction, test your drugs. Don't harm yourself. Don't harm your body. Respect your mind. Respect your body. Respect the substance. Use it well. Use it wisely. Integrate the psychedelic experience. Don't let it fade away. Integrate. It might take days and weeks and months. It is worth it. Let the substance teach you. Let the herb teach you. Let the mushrooms teach you. Let Molly and Mandy and Lucy teach you. Let Sally teach you. And DMT as well, if you're into that. Why do you support stealing land? Seleucus, I do not support stealing land. That's the one thing I do not support. I do support buying land, which was done before 1948 by individuals and organizations of the Zionist variety. I also do support winning land in a war that we didn't start, and there were two ways in which the land was taken in that sense. Either it was won in a war and conquered in a war that we didn't start, but we certainly did finish, or the Arab leaders of the surrounding nations and the people here, they told the Muslims and the Christian Arabs here, flee from your homes, run away, we'll slaughter all the Jews, you'll be right back in a day or two barbecuing in your backyards. And unfortunately for them, they lost. Incidentally, that is the origin of the term Nakba. Maybe you people heard of the term Nakba. The Palestinians and the ass-kissers and the useful idiots and the terrorist sympathizers equate the word Nakba with what the Israeli Zionist pig dog occupying settlerist colonialists did to the poor Palestinian people. What actually happened is that term was coined by a Syrian academic not to describe anything the Jews did, or the Israelis did, or the Zionists did. It was to describe the failure of the Arab armies to win the war and slaughter all of the Jews. That is the actual Nakba. And then it was twisted and warped and manipulated in order to make it look as if it's some sort of a catastrophe. Oh! Bullshit. This is war. You do not get to start a war and then cry victim when you lose. You do not get to start a war repeatedly, lose repeatedly, and then blame the one who won the war on winning the war. You don't get to do that. Incidentally, do you know what happened with those who we actually won a war against and were able to achieve a decisive victory against? Jordan and Egypt. Let me tell you what happened. We gave Jordan back control of the Temple Mount. We gave Egypt back Sinai. We offered Egypt Gaza, and they said, screw that, we're not touching that hot potato. We have now peace with Jordan. We have peace with Egypt. They were bitter, bitter rivals, but now we have cooperation in intelligence and security. Why is that? Because Israel was actually allowed to win a war. So why don't you do us all a favor, all you ass-kissers, all you useful idiots, all you Nazi terrorist sympathizers, talk to your freedom fighter buddies, tell them to lay down their arms, tell them to surrender, tell them to accept their inevitable and ultimate and absolute defeat. And that's it. We'll be done with it, and we can de-radicalize both sides, bring real justice, real peace, real love to the region, and live happily ever after. Hopefully. But there is no stolen land. And in times that there is actual stolen land, and I've said this, if there's some sort of a fringe settlement that is settled illegally, and only later is the law passed to make it legal, I am against that. That is not cool. That is not proper Zionism. That is not kosher. It's not ethical. It's not moral. I do not support that. That is actually stealing land. Buying land is not stealing. Winning land in a war is not stealing. Taking land after people voluntarily vacate it in the hopes that you will all be slaughtered is not stealing either. So once again, you people who say that it's stolen land, you don't know history, you are terrorist sympathizers, likely, and you're full of shit. So do your research, read your history before you come over here saying it's stolen land! No, it isn't. It never was. And in times when it's actually stolen land, I will stand beside you and say, no, that is wrong, do not steal. Abdullah says, free Palestine. I agree, Abdullah. Thank you for supporting Israel. Thank you for supporting the IDF. Thank you for supporting the just war against terrorism. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free them from the Palestinian Authority. Free them from all the other bloodthirsty piece of shit terrorist regimes, their religious extremist leadership. Thank you, Abdullah, for supporting Israel. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to all of us here to have your support. You didn't win the war. England, save your ass. You idiot. England was fighting alongside the Jordanians. It was British generals that led the Jordanian forces against Israel in 1948. These people are so ignorant and so self-righteous, so self-absorbed, thinking that they know the truth. Now, I don't make that mistake. I'm not here saying that I know the truth and I hold all wisdom, I am all-knowing. Bullshit. I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant of most things, and there's a lot more of what I don't know than what I do know. But I have read history. I've lived in this land pretty much all my life. I know a thing or two. I've been a civilian. I've been a military man. I served here. I know a thing or two. You apparently don't know shit, and you're acting as if you know what you're talking about, when it was the British generals that were alongside the Jordanian army fighting against Israel. Are you kidding me? Are you aware of how ignorant, foolish, and asinine this makes you look right now? Do some research. Yapatron. Oh yes, I definitely am a yapper. I'm also, unfortunately for you, a truth yapper. Look it up. Did British generals lead the Jordanian forces in 1948? Google it now. I dare you. A resounding yes. British generals led the Jordanian army. So you're foolish and a little crazy if you're actually saying that that didn't happen. So that's already a you problem, not a me problem. I would get that sorted out if I were you. Maybe talk to a professional. That helps. It does help. Hello, Hebrew Nazarite. Hey, Celtic King. Good to see you again. You will fall. I agree, GRX, if we do not keep the Torah, if we transgress, if we piss off the divine revelation and not keep to the Hebrew covenant, we will fall, just like we fell before, at the hands of Edom, at the hands of Babylon, at the hands of the Greeks, until we manage to get our shit together. So yes, we will. If we continue, or if not continue, if we actually go against the covenant and forsake the Torah, we will. That is what the Torah says. And the Torah, in the same breath, simultaneously says, and you will always make a comeback, spiritually and physically, to this land, to the covenant, to the Torah. You will always return, you will always atone, you will always repent. The covenant remains, even after you, children of Israel, break it. That is awesome. The covenant remains, which is why when Christians and Muslims say that the covenant is null and void and done with, it's like, okay, for you, because you're not Hebrews. For the Hebrew people, the covenant exists and persists and is a thing, and it will remain a thing until there is a new covenant, not for us, but for all creation. Should Israel be a halacha state? Adil, good question. Oh, and it's retracted, so I guess he doesn't want an answer. My country has a problem. The problem is the Jew. Yes, FIFA. That is correct. Borat is a wise, wise man. Great success. Allah will return you, says Johnny Boy. Okay, maybe. Just maybe. You're supposed to be in exile until the Messiah has come. Citizen Z says, false. That is one opinion, not based in Torah, based in Tanakh and commentary. There is also another opinion, right? It's the classic dry bones of Ezekiel. What comes first? The physical or the spiritual? Is it that the material is built first, like the tabernacle or the temple? The foundations and the material building was built first before the divine revelation dwelt in it. In the very same way, we're building up the physical tent of Israel. We're building up the physical land, the physical material infrastructure. Only after the material is built, will the spiritual come and dwell. And so it's actually phase 1 of 2. Or those who are against modern-day Zionism, they wouldn't be against biblical Zionism. Those who are against modern-day Zionism say, no, just like this jackass is saying here, you're supposed to be in exile. That's false, and I'm sorry for calling you a jackass. I'm sure you're not a jackass, but it's such a jackassery-like opinion because you're saying it as if there is no counterpoint whatsoever. And you probably don't even know that that's not based in Torah. It's based in commentary on the Song of Songs. It's based on the 3 oaths of the Song of Solomon, and that's not binding. That's not halacha. Those are not commandments. So however you choose to look at it, it's not the Torah. So whether you go with the dry bones of Ezekiel, where you build the physical foundation first, and whether you go with the 3 oaths that say no, it's the spiritual that needs to come first and lead you back to the physical, both of them are valid. Neither one of them is better than the other. Both have their root in the Torah. So when you say it so decisively and so absolutely, you're supposed to be in exile until the Messiah has come, that is false. That is completely not true. Not according to halacha, not according to Torah, not according to the rest of the Bible. So maybe do some research before you spout off with such confidence, because you don't know what you're talking about. If you knew what you were talking about, you would also have given the counter argument, which is just as valid. But you probably make it want to seem as if the state of Israel is not legitimate, as if it's an abhorrent thing and an abomination in the eyes of the divine revelation. But you're not going to pull one over me or anyone else in this chat, because I've simply now explained it to you that there is also a counter argument, which I maybe doubt you even have heard. I don't know. Let's continue. It's definitely legitimate. No, see, it's not definite. That's the thing. It's not definite. It's a controversy. It's a difference of opinion. It's a machloket, Johnny boy. It's not definitely legitimate. There are many, many cases and arguments to make for the spiritual and physical legitimacy and judicial, historical legitimacy of the current modern-day state of Israel. And there are some to say, no, it should not be this way. Right? There are. Religion is kin to insanity. I disagree, Mr. Pickles, on general principle. I do not agree. I definitely agree that there is the potential for insane, corrupt, malevolent individuals to act under the guise of righteousness and being, simple and humble and walking before God and doing the will of God. It opens up a whole can of worms. The potential is there. The capacity for insanity is there. Is it akin to insanity? No, I don't think it is. Favorite video game? I don't know. I mean, I haven't played video games in a very long time. When I was in my early 20s, I enjoyed playing GTA. That's pretty much it. So, I mean, that was 20 years ago. Lady Stardust, hey! So happy to see you here again. These people do not even know that Palestine is a colonizer name. They can't even tell you what the original name was. They're just projecting. Yes, I know. It truly is the case. These people think they are on the right side of history, where usually, if you would go by the amount of bodies and establishments and structures destroyed, it means that you people who are saying, "Oh, but the bodies, oh, but Gaza is ruined," you would be on the side of Nazi Germany. You would literally be rooting for the side of Nazi Germany in World War II and the Nazi regime because they had more dead and they had more buildings destroyed. And so if that is your criteria for who the victim is and who we should be feeling sorry for and who we should be rooting for and who is the David and who is the Goliath, then first of all, that is one of the stupidest arguments ever. And I would look into that if I were you. Second of all, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about and you do not know the nature of war, and you've probably never been in a war zone or a combat zone or in any, or anything to do with war. Probably. Schizophrenic Jew. All right, let's do this again. Did you hear that? He called you schizophrenic. He did? He called me schizophrenic? Yeah, he called you schizophrenic. What do you think? You think I'm schizophrenic? What do you people think? All right. Yes, I'm sure that I am a little bit crazy, a little bit insane, just a tad schizo, but not so far as to cause me to have any sort of episodes or, I'm crazy. I'm just on the right side of crazy. So yeah. Can't speak on Nazi Germany because the history books are full of shit. Really, White Leaf Indica? Really? Look, there's nobody that would go against the fact that history is written by the victors. But I am of the opinion that Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany both had to be de-radicalized. That is what needs to go on here. Israel needs to be de-radicalized. The Palestinian population needs to be de-radicalized. That will happen after Israel is finally allowed to win a war again and to take out the Nazi terrorist regimes here. And by Nazi, I mean those who want to slaughter everybody and genocide the Jews, right? Not that they're actual National Socialists. They're terrorists. They're a bloodthirsty death cult. But for all intents and purposes, they espouse the same sort of deal when regarding the Jews. I can't speak of Nazi Germany. Look, even though you can say that history books are full of shit, there is enough that is known about Nazi Germany across the board that all historians will agree on. So I'm inclined to think that, yeah, they were the bad guys. Should Israel be a halacha state, Adil says. Well, I think that it should be a halacha state once halacha is free once again. Once we have the smicha back, the laying of the hands. Once we have a Sanhedrin back. Once we have a king and proper courts. Once we have the priesthood back, even if there's no altar and temple or tabernacle standing in Zion. Once we have a couple of more of the elements that are required for proper halacha, because right now we do not have proper halacha, because we do not have proper halachically ordained, let's say, and sages, right, with the laying of the hands. There is no smicha. The smicha needs to be reinstated. The smicha and the Sanhedrin need to be reestablished. And in order for that to happen, there needs to be consensus. And if there is consensus, it means there is unity. And when there is unity among the Hebrew people, there is nothing that will stop us from once again renewing our days as of old. But for that to come, we need to come together and bridge our gaps and find common ground and have a consensus. So I think a halacha state will be a thing when halacha is once again free from the shackles of exile, when it's free from the shackles of the past, and that is still what it's in. Allowed to win a war. How about you fight your own war on your own? I have, my man. I was a soldier in the IDF for many years, in mandatory service and reserve duty. And I was on the border of Syria, I was on the border of Lebanon, on the border with Jordan, on the border with Egypt. I did my part. So what the hell are you talking about? No fucking gods exist. Grow up. Thank you, Armaclips. I agree. God does not exist, because to exist would mean there is the idea of non-existence, and that's already a duality. And God is not a duality. Ergo, God does not exist. There is no God. God does not exist. God is not real. There is no such being, because there would be a non-being, and there would be non-existence, and there would be a non-reality. That's why there is no such a thing. You are absolutely correct. You and I are of the same opinion. Let's continue. How many kids did you kill in service to Israel? None. I'm very happy that I did not. No, I have not killed anyone. Yes. No, I did not pull the trigger. Twice my hand was on the trigger, my finger that is, and twice I did not have to pull it. But in those 2 times, there was the potential of real danger, hence why my finger was on the trigger. But in both cases, it was adults and not kids. And I am a field medic, meaning that I would want to help kids and not kill them. Can't believe any of this, says Wide Leaf Indica. Likely and possibly, and fortunately, nobody is asking you to believe it. We're just having a conversation. We're just talking. That's all that this is. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm not trying to sway your opinion or change your views or alter your perception of what's real or not. I'm simply shooting the breeze here with you good people, live from Jerusalem. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. A quick aside to say thank you, those watching now, those watching later. I love it. I love it all. The likes, the subs, the views, the chats, the comments, the DMs. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite, look for my tree on X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I don't really post, but I'm there for the DMs. And if I don't get to your chat here, I'm sorry. The chat is moving pretty fast. So please leave a comment. I do address every comment that YouTube notifies me of. So I would love to be a part of that. If you're interested, leave a comment. And I deeply appreciate your time, your hard-earned money that goes to charity organizations here in Jerusalem that serve the entire population, East and West alike. I deeply appreciate your participation. I don't take it for granted. Your time and your kind and gentle attention is deeply appreciated because you can be doing anything else right now. Literally anything. But you're here with me, raw, live, unscripted, unfiltered, just shooting the shit, live from Jerusalem before the Sabbath. Let's continue. Why do you violate your 10 commandments? You lie, steal, break your word, covet other things, etc. Do you not realize that you cannot deceive God and that people see your behavior? People in the chat, the regulars more than the others, when have I lied? When have I stolen? When have I broken my word? When have I coveted other things on the stream? And when have I said that I can deceive God? And when did I say that people cannot see my behavior? You're an imbecile, Simi Jusuf. If you think that over several hours of a live stream, one's personality does not come out. Which means, ergo, that you're either just an imbecile, because you're saying things you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're saying it with such confidence, or you're simply a troll, and or just a downright liar, or you're just spouting things for the sake of spouting them because you want to be heard, and I have great sympathy for you. You want to have your biases confirmed. We all have that fallacy of confirmation bias. I'm sympathetic to your cause. I'm sympathetic to your biases and the need for confirmation. I dig it. This is the place to do it. Keep spouting your asinine opinion. Keep spouting your bullshit, whatever it is you want to say. It's all good. So I have not done those things. So show me where I did these things, and I will say, oh, you're right, and I'm wrong. Citizen says, they're 100% correct. I'm not sure what you're referring to. QB says, you ain't kidding, man. Just shooting the shit, stay safe. Yeah, exactly. I'm just here shooting the breeze. Do you believe Jesus is the Son of God? No, I don't. I believe he is just a man, no more, no less, a dead man. We are all sons and daughters of God, in that sense, made in the image of God. Guys spamming about Jesus, says Reborn, isn't going to convert people to Jesus. This is coming from a Christian. Yeah, again, let them spam, let them troll, let them think that their nonsensical ravings will do anything. Let them think it, let them do it. That is why I don't ban, and it's why I don't, and it's why I don't kick people out. I don't put people in timeouts. That's why there are no mods. Ima is having a Zoom right now, a Zoom call, a work Zoom. So yeah, this is a free-range chat. Say whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Keep it within YouTube's guidelines, or else your message will not come through. But if you want to spout some Nazi, racist, bigoted, hateful stuff, rephrase your words or use allusions in order to bypass the censorship. What music do you listen to? Celtic King says, I'm a fan of classic rock, psychedelic rock, some alternative rock. Pink Floyd and Radiohead are my two amazing loves in music. Pink Floyd and Radiohead, yeah. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Jiga Jue. And to you too. And to you too. Shabbat Shalom to us all. It's going to Shabbat in about 5 hours. Why are all these religious figures such human ideas? The tattle slug. Let me read that again. Why are all these religious figures such human ideas? I'm not sure what the question means. I'm not sure what that means. Could you rephrase it for me? Can you dumb it down for me? I'm ignorant. Say it again differently. Say it differently. What about Gong or Zappa? Lady Stardust, I am a fan of Frank Zappa. I've been a fan of his ever since I was an early teen. Incidentally, when Zappa plays Zappa with Dweezil et al., when they were here in Israel, it was the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, so I did not go and see them. When Radiohead were here in July of 2017, I did go see them because I consider Radiohead to be part of my spiritual growth, part of my very musical essence, and, part of my, just really, their music speaks to me, the lyrics speak to me, them and their work as a group really speaks to me, as does the, Junoon and the Rajasthan Express also, the work of Tom York. I haven't listened to Philip Selway's and what's his face's yet, and Greenwood's solo stuff yet, but I will. Frank Zappa was so ahead of his time. Yeah, man, great, googly moogly. I love Frank Zappa so much. He's such a wild man. I love him. I think he was, I don't know if ahead of his time. I think he was of his time. Definitely. Okay. How do you explain the shroud? I don't, because I'm not a Christian, Ashley. The shroud is just what they say, a garment that Jesus wore, something like that. I have no idea, nor do I care. I don't follow Jesus. Why do I need to explain why there is a shroud with the likeness of somebody on a shroud? That means nothing to me. There's no wisdom there. There's no faith there. Not for a Hebrew man. There's absolutely nothing there that says anything to me about Jesus or anything else other than there once was a man and there once was a shroud and there once was a man on a shroud. That means absolutely nothing to me. Okay. Continuing. Are we Goyim? Brandon, Goyim means nations. That is literally what that means. It just means nations. Goy is singular. Goyim is plural. Israel is a Goy. Non-Israelites are Goyim, nations. Some people use it pejoratively. Some people use it as an insult. Some Jews are supremacist Jews. I'm not one of them. I think we are all alike. We are all earthlings, human beings made in the image of God. Not one is better or more supreme than the other. So Goyim literally means nations. So there's Israel, and there's the rest of the nations that are not Israel. In the very same way that there are the Swedes and the nations who are not Swedish. There are the Japanese and those who are not of Japan. There are the Italians and those who are not Italians. The very same thing applies. Why are you satanic, says Dags? Because I am a fan of Satan, right? There is no devil in the Hebrew faith. There is Satan. Satan is a Hebrew word meaning adversary. The adversary, unlike the Christians who say that it's this angel who rebelled and who wanted the throne and better to serve in hell, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven or some story, that doesn't exist at all. In Eden, in the Hebrew tradition, it does not exist in the Torah, it does not exist in the Bible. Satan is an adversary. Satan is a servant of the Most High God doing his job. That's all that he is. He's just a servant of Adonai. And he is doing a damn good job. And he should be praised. Because it is because of the adversarial element in life that we are able to overcome our own weaknesses. It is because stumbling blocks are put in front of us that we are able to gather strength and courage and fortitude to overcome our weaknesses, overcome our shortcomings, overcome our inadequacies, and be more than what we are, and become greater, elevate ourselves. Physically, mentally, spiritually, metaphysically, however you want to look at it, you need some pushback. You need some challenge in order to dig deep inside yourself and gather those forces and overcome, and in doing so, discover new frontiers, expand your awareness, heighten your consciousness. Just like when you work out, you literally tear the muscle fabric. You are literally tearing the muscle to make room for new growth. That is how growth happens. In the very same way, when you challenge yourself musculature, in the sense of your musculature, and you lift heavier weights, the muscle grows. If you challenge yourself and you suffer, let's say, at the hands of the adversary, you are also able to reach that challenge and overcome it, and in doing so become more than what you were otherwise, or what you would have been otherwise, without the drama, without the challenge, without the adversary, without suffering to some degree. There is no true, genuine, long-lasting growth. No pain, no gain. That's exactly right. You are disgusting, says the Real Unknown Plus. I am? Oh, that's good stuff. I don't know why you would say I'm disgusting. I mean, my hair and beard are wild, I'll give you that. But for that to call me disgusting, is it because of my BO? Is it because of the beard? Is it the stash? Is it the schnoz? Is it the glasses? Is it the language? Is it the fact that I'm a Hebrew man in the Hebrew land, in the capital of Israel, that disgusts you oh so very much? Sorry about that. Let's continue. Is it true there is no hell? AF says, yes, in Judaism there is no hell, there is no heaven, at least not in the classic traditional place of everlasting bliss and rest or damnation and suffering. There is no lake of fire, no such thing whatsoever. Gehinnom and Eden, which are approximately the Jewish heaven and hell, are waiting rooms. They are places like the hell, Gehinnom, hell, is approximating purgatory, a temporary place of shedding bad karma, if you will, a place of purgation, of purification and cleanliness. And Eden is a place of rest, of temporary rest. But we all will arrive together, God willing, a unified human race, to phase 2 of all creation, partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. So that is the next phase. These are not places of everlasting anything. That is the true afterlife, by the way. The afterlife is not what happens after you die. The afterlife is what happens after you partake of the fruit of the tree of life, which was put under guard, right? The path to it was put under guard, but it was never forbidden. Partaking of the fruit of the tree of life was never forbidden, not inside of Eden, nor outside of Eden. It's what we're supposed to do to fulfill our mission in Eden. Okay. David says, you are an intellectual. No, I'm not. I'm just a learner. I'm just a student. I'm a dumbass. I'm the lowest of the low. I'm not an intellectual, nor am I an educated or learned man. I'm not a historian or a researcher, not a sage, not a rabbi. I'm just a dude. Just a dude. That's it. Buddy, are you in the middle? Can I ask you to top me off once again? Thank you, my man. This man doesn't have a job. That is incorrect. I actually have a couple of weeks of paid time off now. And... Was that? Yeah, no, and I'm a writer. That's what I do for a living. Thank you. Could you also fill it up? If you're not, thank you. You're such a good boy. Toda rabba. Thank you. You're a good kid. Let's continue. Are you Jew? Yes, truth seeker guy. I'm a man of the kingdom of Judah. I am a Hebrew man in the Hebrew land. Bullshit, says Citizen Z. What about? Or did you actually step in a cow pie right now? For God's sake, please eat something nutritious. I do, Hector Bolt. I do eat plenty of nutrients and nutrition and nutritious things. Yes, I do. Wow, Satan is good and hell is a waiting room. You just explained a lot. Look, I'm not saying consider the adversary to be a good thing to screw with. Do not screw with the adversary. Do not screw with the dark side of the force. Do not screw with the adversarial elements. Do not mess around with the demonic elements. Don't do it. But should something come your way and challenge you, and then cause you to build yourself up because of the challenge, is it not a good thing, ultimately? The flip side of this is that those who fall at the hands of the adversary sometimes fall so deeply and so hellishly, if you will, that there is no returning for them as far as they're concerned. But nowadays, with no temple, there is atonement. There's still atonement even without the temple. As for hell being a waiting room, yes, it's a waiting room. So is Eden. Phase 2 of all creation is partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. That is the true afterlife. That's what it is. So you believe in the Talmud. There's no such thing as believing in the Talmud. The Talmud is a book of controversies and opinions and debates and arguments and discussions on the nature of halachic rulings. But no halacha is ruled in the Talmud. Halacha is derived from the Talmud and the Mishnah. And so there's no such thing as following the Talmud. There is following the teachings that have been made into binding rabbinic law based on the arguments and the difference of opinions and the controversies and the debates that go on in the Talmud. The Talmud is also a place not just for halachic discussion, but also for random tidbits of lore and myth and folklore and whatever, right, and legends. So do I believe? I believe it was a book that was written down that was not meant to be written down. The oral Torah was meant to remain oral, but because of the looming exile and destruction, and because of the idea that it might be lost to the pages of history, they had to write it down. So it was the lesser of two evils. They did what they had to do. But the oral traditions were never meant to be written down. The Mishnah was never meant to be written down. The Talmud, Jerusalem and Babylonian alike, were never meant to be written down, ever. Nor was there ever such a commandment. There was also no commandment to write down the prophecies, the scrolls, the writings, none of it. Our sages put the Bible together and canonized those books and left a lot out on the editing room floor. The sages canonized, right, the Mishnah. The sages canonized and sealed the Talmud, and then that's done. It's done. You cannot add to it. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. I hope you had a meaningful fast. Yes, I did, Lady Stardust. I did have a meaningful fast. Let us hope we will never have to fast any fast of mourning ever again. You have children. Yes, I do. I have 4 kids. Ass cheeks. Okay, man. I love the name. Yes, I have 4 children. May they be well and healthy in spirit and in body and in mind. What do you think about the yin and yang philosophy? I am divine. If you're interested in Taoism, I have a series on the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. I have a short series on the Tao Te Ching that I just finished. I did it in the month of June, and I had other things to say about the Tao in my previous channel that was removed by YouTube years ago. But for all intents and purposes, I am a fan of the Tao. I'm not a Taoist, but I'm very much a fan of the Tao. I see some very strong correlations or, overlap between the way of Tao and the way of the Hebrew, right? The way of the Torah, the way of the Kabbalah. So I am a fan of Taoism. I would love to read that. To read what? I mean, it's on my page. What are the halacha and the Mishnah? So the Mishnah is the oral traditions written down after the destruction of the Second Temple that features sages called Tanaim that lived at the time of the Second Temple and a generation or two after its destruction. It was finalized and canonized and sealed by Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. And the halacha is oral law, the binding oral law that was written down. Halacha is something that is meant to progress and evolve and carry on along with civilization, along with society, alongside advances and innovation. So, and it's not really what's going on right now, not to the degree that it ought to be or could be. Walkmaster, are you indeed a walkmaster? I can't work a walk too well. Do you practice Kabbalah? So I'm a student of the Tree of Life. I have been a student of the Tree of Life ever since I was 16, but I am not a Kabbalist, and I certainly am not a practical Kabbalist. I do not delve into Kabbalah Ma'asit. Kabbalah has indeed informed my everyday life and the way that I study and the way that I speak and the way that I move in the world, but I do not call myself a Kabbalist, nor do I call myself a practical Kabbalist. Even though Kabbalah has many practical implementations, I do not act on any, I don't invoke any names, I don't make any incantations, I don't write talismans. I do know Kabbalists who are practical Kabbalists, Mekubalim Ma'asiyim, who practice Kabbalah Ma'asit. The thing is, it's a bit of a danger because Kabbalah Ma'asit corresponds to this world of Asiyah, and this is a world of knowledge of good and evil. And so I stay away from that. I stay away from it. How can it be binding and progressing at the same time? Because halacha is written by people for people. And so what is becoming binding according to one sage can be undone in the course of history by another sage. The thing is that ever since that the destruction of the temple and ever since that the laying of the hands was taken away from the people of Israel, there are no proper sages. And so it's progressing in the way that we are now using the remnants of halachic rulings and the binding ones from 2,000 years ago. And there are certain things that should have been annulled 2 millennia ago or so, but they cannot be, because we do not have proper sages, we do not have proper rabbis, we do not have proper people with smicha, with the laying of the hands. And so they do not have the halachic authority to annul what sages of old have bound Israel by. Customs and traditions and regulations and other things, right? What's known as takanot, gzerot, chumrot, things of that nature. Okay. How certain are you of your faith religion, respectfully, AF says. What do you mean certain? There are no certainties. I do not speak in absolutes. The only absolute is the Most High God. Everything else is subjective. Everything else is relative, because I am a lone human being with a single consciousness that is, it's a single consciousness in the sense that it's mine, but it's also all-encompassing, because I believe that the entire multiverse of multiverses that we inhabit is one giant organism. and I perceive in my own limited knowledge and understanding, me, myself, and I, in a kind of solipsistic sort of way. So it's twofold, right? In the way of the individual, I'm certain of the path that I've chosen. In the way of the certainty of things, no, the only certain thing is the Creator. Other than that, it's all up for discussion, pretty much. Let's continue. Why did they name it Holocaust? They named it Holocaust because that is an ancient verb. It's an ancient term. It's a noun, right? But they named it Holocaust. Holocaust and genocide were two things that were brought into the vernacular, into the lexicon, because of the way that Jews were treated in World War II and the final solution. The terms existed before that archaically, and they were brought back into the everyday language in World War II, or shortly after that, to describe what the Jews had undergone, a genocide and a Holocaust. The word Shoah appears in the Bible, but it, again, made a comeback, if you will, into the common tongue, in the Hebrew common tongue, with the addition of the word Holocaust. That is why. I know a demon when I see one, Microwave Dave says. Hello, I'm demonic. Or I'm a demon. I'm possessed by demons, and I piss demons for breakfast. That's what I do. By certainly, I mean the nature of God. No, I do not know the nature of God. That is what I said. All I know is how God reveals himself to me through the 10 Sfirot, through the Torah, through nature, through life. I do not know God. God is unknowable, untouchable, inconceivable, unthinkable. I don't know God. I don't know anything about God, nor will I ever know God, not even a little bit. I am a creation, and as such, I cannot truly know the Creator. I know him through divine revelation, in the very same way that you are watching me now on some screen as a projection of zeros and ones. Or you are also getting it, if you're not watching, inside headphones as a projection of electrical signals. But there is also a living, breathing human, like over here, that is talking on the other side of that phone or device. Now, you are seeing a digital projection of me in pixelated zeros and ones, yes? But you can discern certain things. Look at all the people in the chat calling me, this, that, and the other, because they are discerning or they are assuming certain things based on how they are viewing the situation, based on their spectrum of analysis, on what they are seeing and what they are hearing. They can jump to certain conclusions, make certain assumptions, understand certain things or not understand certain things based on this wholly digital projection. It's only digital, right? In the very same way, there is the projection of the divine revelation that you can discern certain things from. Does that mean that you can say that you know the intimate inner workings of me? Do you know how fast my heart is going? Do you know what my gut is digesting right now? Do you know what thought is encompassing my brain right now? Do you know, again, so there are certain things that you can discern and certain things that stay hidden. Do you know if I have any scars? Do you know if I have hairy nipples or not? No, because it's covered by a garment, a clothing. And yet in this clothing, you can also discern a thing or two, because this is Darth Vader, and it says best dad in the galaxy, from which you can discern the fact that I'm a fan of the Empire and of Lord Vader. You see what I'm saying? You can discern certain things about the way a person presents himself physically, outwardly, externally, digitally. Does that mean you actually know the inner workings of his body and mind? No. You also don't know what goes on over here until I actually verbalize it. And when I verbalize it, I'm actually taking something incomprehensible and narrowing it down into speech of the English language, which is something very narrow and specific, trying to convey certain ideas that are above the words that I am speaking, and I'm shrinking them down. They are dying into understanding. So that's what I mean. When you say certainty, that's what I think of certainty. All right. What is your stance on atheism? That people are atheists. That is my stance on atheism. Are Jews allowed to smoke cannabis? Celtic King, it depends who you ask. First of all, cannabis is thought to be one of the 11 herbs that made up the incense in the temple and the tabernacle, so called knebosim, cannabis. Second of all, halachically speaking, to smoke is not a good thing, which means that it might have a detriment, which means that there are halachic rulers who would say that from the onset, as a way of keeping one healthy, and the Torah commanding us to look out for our health and physical and mental, that means that you should not be smoking. But it is not against halacha to smoke, by and large. Now, if you're talking about smoking a psychoactive substance like cannabis, sativa, indica, hybrid, whatever, then it's already a question of which halachic ruler do you follow. I am of the opinion that cannabis is an amazing thing, a wonderful herb, a sacred sacrament. Whether you use it spiritually, whether you use it recreationally, all I say about cannabis is set and setting. It is a psychedelic substance, so be careful. Respect the herb, respect your mind, respect your body, right? And be a high-functioning stoner, not a low-functioning pothead. Take responsibility, be accountable. And don't let your life revolve around the herb, and is it there, is it not there? Oh, I wish I had some. Oh, we should have gotten some. Oh, this would be so much better if we smoked some. No, be here now. If you have the herb, partake of it, be happy, be well. If you don't have it, that's the situation, and that's that. And the bulk of one's psychedelic experiences, I've always said this and I've always maintained this, the bulk of a person's mind-revealing experiences should come from within and not from without. Whether it's an organic thing like cannabis, whether it's a synthetic thing like LSD. Let's continue. You're definitely a knowledgeable stoner. I mean, I have my moments. Look, I consider cannabis to be a sacred substance. Sacred literally means set apart. And I have set apart cannabis in my life. I no longer partake, but I had partaken for a large chunk of my life, but I never was a pothead. I was always a high-functioning stoner and never, a low-functioning pothead. So I think, not to say you should do what I do, I simply think it's a better life. It's a better life when you add it as a supplement, as a spice, spice up your life, right? The Spice Girls said you should spice up your life. That's what it should be. It should be a spice. It should not be the entree. It should not be the main course. It should be something you use for elevation, but you should be, in your psychedelic life, in your psychedelic world, come from the inside, not from the outside. 3L Darrow says, well, the nose and the hair. Yes, the nose and the hair. Here, let's, Yes, nose and hair, that's me. Let's continue. Bro, I miss the Spice Girls. I had such a crush on Jerry Halliwell. I had such a crush on Ginger Spice. Oh, man. DMT, I've never done DMT, but I'm a fan. I know that it has great potential. I've never done it, though. Why did you set it aside? I got the call. I got the call to not be a dude who smokes any longer. So I answered that call, and I stopped. That's it. I'm not ruling out smoking anytime ever again. I definitely will be partaking again, but I'll never go back to smoking regularly. Be here now, Ramdas. Exactly, Lady Stardust. Exactly. Be here now. Bro, comb your hair and trim your beard. You look like a broom. Oh, I love that, NCal. I look like a broom. I love that. I'm going to use that. Hopefully I'll remember that. No, I may not comb my hair. That's against the laws of the Nazarite. I do not want to trim my beard, even though I'm allowed to, because I love the wild growth. So I'm not going to trim my beard. As for looking like a broom, I definitely look like a broom. I love that. Thank you for saying that. Like a functioning addict? What do you mean, Miss Young? No, being addicted to anything is not a good thing. And now, you cannot be addicted physically to marijuana. You can be psychologically addicted to marijuana. A lot of people become psychologically addicted to marijuana, and that is a damn shame. I see you ignoring me, Jew. Gray Desmarin. No, see, you are so self-absorbed that you actually think that in a chat with over 200 people right now, I saw your chat and made the decision to ignore you, and that it's intentional. So, first of all, don't be so egocentric. Don't be so self-absorbed. This is literally the first time that I'm laying eyes or hands on your username. So pull your head out of your ass and understand that I have a lot of people in the chat, and if I would actually see it and ignore you, then that would be one thing. But I've never seen you in the chat, and I haven't seen any question or comment you've posed in the chat until this very one right now. And to you I say it again, because the chat is moving rapidly, so I scroll down and I see something and I address it here on camera. And if I don't get to you, I do want to get to you, leave a comment. I address every single comment that YouTube notifies me of, so please do so, or hit me up in the DMs. Hebrew Nazarite, look for my tree across the board. That's what it is. Miss Young says, Miss Young gave a super chat, super sticker. Thank you for your contribution. Everything that you give after YouTube takes its cut ends up in the hands of charitable organizations here in Jerusalem that serve East and West Jerusalem alike. Jews, Druze, Muslims, Baha'is, Rastas, Christians, Hindus, Shintos, and atheists, whatever. They serve individuals and families in need. I give to people charities that serve East and West Jerusalem alike. Let's continue. Oive, are you Hasidic? No, I do follow certain Hasidic practices, Hitbodedut being the chief one, seclusion, spontaneous meditative prayer. But no, I'm not a Hasid. I never was a Hasid. I love Chabad. I love Breslev. I think Hasidic teachings from the Baal Shem Tov, and before that, for that matter, have a lot of merit, but I am not a Hasid, no. You don't look like a broom. You are a broom. You deserve to clean the world, says Joanna. I could tell you would reject that, but you are worthy of the job. I would reject it. Categorically, unequivocally reject it. Thank you for saying that I'm worthy. I hope to merit your kind praise in fullness, all in due time and in due season. Let's continue. This guy's practicing. Into the trash he goes. Yes, Gray. Practicing what? What is it exactly that I'm doing? I do agree that I belong in the trash. I am garbage, I'll give you that. Why can't you comb your hair? Because the Nazarite man or woman are not allowed to use a comb or a brush, because these are used primarily to rip hairs out, and a Nazarite is not allowed to rip his or her hair out. Are there Shintos in Jerusalem? That's beautiful if the case. Yeah, look, there are people of all sorts here in Jerusalem, all faiths, all cultures, all walks of life. You'll find so many people. I haven't come across any Shinto who walked up to me and said, I'm a Shinto. I'm assuming there is at least a handful of Shinto people here. Are you Hasidic? I'm sorry, I already answered that. No, I'm not. Can you talk about DMT? No, I can't, because dimethyltryptamine is not something that I've undergone. Any ties with religion, such as the Tree of Life, contains DMT. So people say that, but I don't know enough about it to give you a proper addressing, so I cannot talk about it, unfortunately. Unfortunately, no. Let's continue. Are you still waiting for Messiah? No, Marg. If a king shows up and is anointed, all the better. But I am not waiting, right? I'm expecting redemption, of course, each and every second, each and every day. It doesn't necessarily have to come through some sort of an anointed one taking the throne of Israel. If that does come to pass, that's great, but it won't be a necessity. Who is more powerful magician, Jesus or David Blaine? I have no idea. I have no idea. I really can't tell you. I would think that as far as magic is concerned, proper magic, it would be Jesus, because it's said that he was a proper sage at the time of the Second Temple, whereas David Blaine is, I think, more of a sleight of hand individual, and he does have indeed some mind-bending displays of magic, but I think I would say it's Jesus, if indeed he did exist. Still ignoring the Zionist question. Again, I did not read the question. All I read was you saying that I'm ignoring it, and this one, ironically, saying that I'm ignoring it. What is your question about Zionism? I would love to address it if I actually come across it in the chat, but there are 235 people here right now. So again, you'll have to either leave a comment or hope that I come across it here in the chat, and I just might. Do you believe in healers? I don't know what that means, Miss Young. Do I believe in people who can heal? Yes, doctors, physicians, and others who deal with the more spiritual side. I mean, psychologists, psychiatrists, I believe that they can heal. Yes. If you're talking about people who do it with some sort of a spiritual, metaphysical thing, I do, but I believe in kosher healing, and I believe it goes hand in hand with mainstream or alternative medicine, right? Things like Ayurveda and things like Chinese medicine and things of that sort as well. It all goes hand in hand. Mark says, what are real qualities to identify the Messiah? So, for instance, Maimonides, and when he answers that question, he says, a leader of Israel who fights the wars of Israel against its enemies, turns the people back to Torah and commandments, eradicates or goes on to eradicate the seed of Amalek, and starts to build the temple. that person is indeed a contender for the throne and a veritable Messiah, even if he has not yet actually been anointed with oil or given the crown. So, there's Maimonides in the halachas of kings and their wars, actually in the book Mishneh Torah. Halachically speaking, that is the criteria for someone being a proud contender for the throne of Israel. But the qualities to identify Messiah is once he is crowned. Once he is crowned, that, and once he is anointed. But there are all kinds of different teachings and different legends on the virtues, and I don't know. I really don't know. It's difficult to tell. Identifying the Messiah would be very, very difficult. It's once a king is crowned and anointed, then we will know. The seed of Amalek, yes, D-L-E-S, because we do not know who Amalek is nowadays. I hope we never will. Israel was commanded to genocide Amalek, men, women, children, cattle, livestock, everything. And I hope that never comes to pass. That is the only genocide that Israel are nowadays commanded to carry out. Commanded to carry out, to eradicate the memory of Amalek from under the heavens. The thing is that the term under the heavens is also a spiritual term that pertains to a certain duality, a world of good and evil. There is also the place above the heavens, as it were, where Israel and Amalek are one. Consider the triangle, right? The triangle where you have a singular root, and then there's a duality. So over here, at this end of the spectrum, you have Israel and Amalek, but we are all one. The higher you go, the more back to the root, right? And so eradicating the memory of Amalek from under the heavens, I hope it will never come to pass. But that is what that is, yes. But Amalek are a proper nation of people. It's not just naming people Amalek. Nowadays, when people call each other Amalek, it means they are deserving of death. It does not mean they are actually de facto, realistically Amalek. We do not know who the nation of Amalek is. I hope we never find that out. I am not interested in genociding men, women, children, babies, infants, toddlers, or animals. I'm a vegan. Why is Israel extermination Palestinians? There is no extermination of Palestinians. Don't be an idiot. Don't swallow Hamas propaganda tripe. Don't do it. Do your own research. Don't believe what they tell you. Do your own research. There is no extermination. Don't be foolish. The population of the Palestinian people has been growing exponentially all the time. Israel is fighting a defensive war against combatants, against bloodthirsty, warmongering terrorist regimes who embed themselves in the civilian population so they will be exterminated for purposes of religious martyrdom and propaganda. To wit, it's working. Israel is not exterminating. Israel is not ethnically cleansing. Israel is not genociding. You have zero proof of that. There is no proof of that, not in the numbers, not in the actions, and not in the intent. And if there are individual people in the army that are homicidal, genocidal psychopaths, they should be thrown into prison. And if there are leaders in parliament or government that are genocidal, psychopathic maniacs, they should be kicked out of the administration or the parliament. They do not belong there. All right. Rasta Jew says too, no, I'm not a Rasta, although some Rastas take the Nazarite vow. I am a Hebrew who has taken the Nazarite vow. They consider to be themselves the remnants of the kingdom of Judah, and the Jews are also the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. Havra'ah agreement, the autistic gamer says, yes, the Havra'ah agreement was between certain Zionist factions and the Nazi regime in the early 1930s, when they took to power in 1933 or 4, was an agreement because the Nazis wanted the Jews out. The Zionists wanted the Jews in the British Mandate of Palestine. And so there was an agreement between the Zionist enterprise, some Zionists, and between the Nazi regime to get Jews out of Germany and into the British Mandate of Palestine. That is what that was. But that was before World War II, before the final solution. I think it was even before the laws became vehemently anti-Jew. So for a very short time, there was an agreement. They wanted the Jews out, they wanted the Jews in, and their interests aligned, right? They coincided for a short time. That is the Havra'ah agreement. This dude is a reality denier, says a cat 2383. Really? What reality am I denying? By all means, tell me. And if I am indeed denying something, I will be on board with and say, yes, you are right, I was wrong. Thank you for educating me and making me less ignorant. I'm pretty sure I'm living well in reality. Well in reality. Don't be fooled. Zionists are still very active. Of course we are still very active. Conquer fair. Of course, but not everything that gets slapped with the label of Zionism makes it kosher, ethical, moral. Some things that Zionist people do are immoral, unethical, not kosher, abhorrent, and reprehensible. And I do not agree with those things, and I condemn those actions. I condemn those people. That does not mean that I condemn Zionism as such, as an idea. Not the biblical Zionism of Deuteronomy, nor the modern-day Zionism that reared its head in the middle of the 19th century. But I do condemn those people who are violent, psychopathic, genocidal, who would indeed ethnically cleanse people if they had the authority and the capacity to do so. I am against that. So you tarring Zionism with one single brush only reveals your own ignorance and your stupidity in doing so. Let's continue. Get a nose job. No, Chris White, I am a fan of my Jewish schnoz. I love my nose. It's been broken several times. Never actually diagnosed as such, but a few times definitely it was broken. Over here, mainly on the bridge. So yes, I have a big Jewish schnoz, and I love it. What up, homie, says Shalom25. Hey, what up? What up, what up? Shalom, are you regulated? Am I regulated? I mean, I'm a civilian of a state of Israel, so I suppose I am regulated to some degree. The thing is that, like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, he said, you know, we have so many laws and so many rules and so many regulations in life. You need to know which rules to break. You need to know which rules to bend. You need to know where to go off the path and do your own thing. You'll never truly be you, original you, if you be like everybody else. And Picasso, right? Pablo Picasso said, learn the rules like a professional so you can break them like an artist. Something along those lines. So that's how I view myself. So I'm regulated, but I'm also a bit of a rebel. But like Bob Marley and the Wailers said, what did they say? I'm a soul rebel, right? That's what I am. I'm a rebel, soul rebel. He means medicated. Oh, thank you, Coombs. No, I'm not medicated. Am I? I mean, food, it says, let thy food be thy medicine. So the fact that I do consume food and I stick to a plant-based diet, I am medicated by the food that I take in, but I also take B12 because of my diet. So yes, I am medicated. That's quite a beak you got there. Yes, it is, Rick. Mossad, Mossad, Mossad. Gray, you are so ignorant. Mossad is international. I am in Jerusalem, local. Here it's police or Shin Bet or IDF or whatever you want to call it. Mossad is an international intelligence agency. They do not operate locally in Israel. Again, you are displaying your true ignorance, lack of knowledge, and supremacy to think that you know Mossad, Mossad in all caps, as if you know what you're talking about, when all you are doing is displaying your intellectual inadequacies for 238 people here in the chat. Get your shit together. Know what you're talking about, and then we can have a conversation. But you spouting off things as if you know what you're saying when you obviously don't know what you're saying also makes it so you look like a fool, which means that then when you actually say something of substance, people won't listen. Now, it's good to be the fool at times. I'm also a great fool, so I have sympathy. But you need to know when to be the fool, right? You need to know when to be the fool, when to be with self-confidence, when to boastfully, in all caps, say Mossad, Mossad, Mossad. Of course, unless I got it wrong completely, and you're a fan of the Mossad. Incidentally, the full name of Mossad is HaMossad LeModi'in V'Tafkidim Miyuchadim, the Institute of Intelligence and Special Operations, or Special Tasks. You're lying, says I'm Busy Ramsey. Really? I'm lying? What about? Do tell. I'm a glitched, but now I'm live. I'm almost on for 2 hours? I think I'm going to go soon. There's still some prep to do before the Sabbath. Do you like pork, bro? Probably, but I've never tasted it. It's not kosher. I've never had non-kosher meat, and I've been vegan for 16 years, and I was vegetarian before that for some time, so I've never had any pig product, so I have no idea. But I've heard great things about pork, bacon, ham, and all those pig-related things. I've heard good things, very good things. I've heard it's really, really tasty. Bob Marley was also a Zionist. Yes, I agree. What is your purpose? Miss Young says. My purpose is to be the best me that I can be. No more, no less. That is my purpose. That's it. Follow the Torah, follow the commandments, cleave to the Hebrew covenant, and help me become who I truly am, and manifest the unique and individual image of God in which I was created. Same thing applies to all of you good people. You have a task to fulfill, you have a mission to accomplish, a job to carry out, and in doing so, right, in knowing thyself, to manifest the image of God in which you as a unique individual were created. David Data says in The Way of the Superior Man, but it also applies to women, you have a gift to give to the world. There is something only you can do. Nobody, literally, among all the billions of people who have traversed this earth, who have lived and died or currently are drawing breath, you can do something, that nobody else can do. Figure out what that is. Devote your life to it if you can. And despite all of the challenges, try to manifest yourself in earnest, honestly, without regard to what the naysayers might say. Without regard, obviously you should take things into account with your environment, who you are, what you do, but make it a priority to actualize yourself. Dr. Peterson said it beautifully. Speak your being forward. I love that. I love that line. I truly love that line. Really. Are you religious? No, I like good things. I do not consider myself religious. I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem. I was proper religious, kept strict rabbinical law until my mid-20s, and then I decided to stop categorizing myself as religious or Orthodox. I still keep plenty of religious Orthodox things, but I do not label myself as such because I don't want to misrepresent Orthodoxy. I don't wish to be hypocritical about the faith, so I don't call myself religious. Let's continue. Oh, Stacy says, as a neutral voice, I'm hardly neutral, but thank you for the vote of confidence there. What are your thoughts on building the third temple and the red heifer efforts? I think that they are fine efforts, but I think that it needs to be taken with caution and care. That's it, to be cautious about how we go about it. Those are my thoughts. The red heifer is great. If we are able to be ritually clean from defilement of death, that would be a welcome thing, a wonderful thing. If the building of a third temple will be one, because I'm of the opinion that a third temple nowadays would be one that is a house, a vegan house of love and prayer and worship for all creation. That is what I see the third temple being. And so that means that we would have already come together as people, as humans, that we would have set aside our wars and petty differences, that we have already been able to embrace each other in our shared earthling humanity, image of God sense. And in doing so, the third temple will be that place that we can all arrive at. God willing, may it be so. May it be so. Otherwise, it might trigger a whole, I don't know what it might trigger, I really don't. But it would be good to have a third temple, a vegan third temple that everybody can come and love and pray and worship at. All right. Let's continue. One or two more, and then I'll say goodbye. Third temple is the end of the world, Lil Bro. Why would that be the end of the world? Why would that be the end of the world? Ren says, bro got dreads and payas. Actually, yes, I had long payas. I grew them from scratch. I grew them from tiny little things that I left when I shaved my head for the first time at age 17. They grew up until they were about here. Something over there. And I never cut them off. I just let the hair grow around them when I took my vow. So I do still have payas over here in this, with these dreads. So yes, I have dreads and payas at the same time. That is true. Do you believe in the Torah? I try to follow the Torah to the best of my ability. Sometimes not to the best of my ability, because I'm only human and I sin and I perform iniquity. I'm fallen, right? I'm not holier than thou. I'm definitely in the nasty, stanky funk of the real world, which means that sometimes I sin because I'm weak and I'm frail. It doesn't mean that I'm complacent about it, but it means that I accept the responsibility and I take accountability and I try to do better, right? I try to do better. Let's continue. Carmen Electra was hot AF in her prime. I got to know Carmen Electra. She was the one who hosted MTV's Singled Out after Jenny McCarthy. And I always, obviously, had a thing for Jenny McCarthy as a young boy, as a teenager, as an early teen, discovering myself. And Carmen Electra, I liked her less. But yeah, she was pretty in her prime. I don't know what she looks like now, but she definitely was a looker in her prime. That's for sure. Do you read the New Testament? I read it once, Stefan SBD. I read it once. I'm not a fan. There's wisdom there, particularly in the Gospel. I loved the Gospel. I did not really like any of the other books. Not the letters, not the Acts, not Revelation, but I only read it once. The Gospel I really, really loved. I loved the parables. I loved the sermons that Jesus, I loved the stories there. That's why I say that I think he was a good man, a righteous man, but he's a dead man. That's it. No more, no less. That's it. So I do not read the New Testament, but I have read it once, which means that I'm not versed in it at all and I cannot speak of it. I do not find faith in it, but I do find wisdom in it. Let's put it that way. Both were smoking. Yeah, that's very true. There are some insanely beautiful creatures out there, men and women alike. All right. Last one. Let's read. Last one. Okay, Spanky, says Rick. On that note, I am Spanky. On that note, this has been so much fun. I thank you for your time and your kind and gentle attention, the likes and the subs and the views and the comments in the chat and in the comments section. If I missed you, please hit me up with a DM or a comment. Hebrew Nazarite, look for my tree on X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I love engaging with you when I have the time, so do so if you want to hit me up for one-on-one. And the haters and the lovers and the trolls and the spammers and the Nazis, I love it all. All engagement is welcome in this channel. All discourse is welcome in this channel. No mods, no bans, no timeouts, just free-range chat. Blah, 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 blah. Send it out into the world. Send it out into the world. I will see you on the next live stream where the wonders never cease. Until then, peace and love and good Shabbos from Jerusalem. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Be the light in other people's lives. Be the reason why people say, there is some righteousness in the world. There is some good left in the world. A quick prayer before I leave. A prayer for unity, love, peace, humility, simplicity, embracing each other. May we be able to overcome our differences. May we be able to overcome our weaknesses. May we be able as individuals to overcome our shortcomings and be greater and stronger and healthier and wiser and more than we are right now. May we walk simply, humbly, and righteously before the Most High God. May war and bloodshed and conflict and terrorism be lifted clean out of creation even right now as I am speaking these words. May both sides of this conflict and all conflicts be de-radicalized. May real justice be introduced. May real peace and love reign across all creation. And may the Spirit of God dwell in us all, and may it cover all flesh like water covers the seabed. Shabbat Shalom. I will see you, God willing, Saturday night or maybe Sunday morning, sometime on the next live stream whenever it takes place. Until then, this has been so much fun. It's difficult to say goodbye, but I do need to prep for Shabbos. Whew. Okay, one more sip of water, and then I'll press that button. L'chaim, to life. There we go. Peace.